Welcome to the Sensory and Power podcast. I'm Bethany, your host. I'm a holistic occupational therapist with over a decade of experience in supporting individuals helping to transform their world through sensory empowerment. This podcast is your guide to the transformative world of sensory storytelling, holistic tools, and empowerment strategies. So I'm really excited to teach and lead some really powerful strategies that have been very profound in my ability to cope with loud environments and loud sudden noises and a few extra little bonus things that we can talk about with some really, really cool tools. So welcome everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. What do we do when things get really too loud and too overwhelming? Things maybe you've noticed very much in my ears, this kind of reverberation where it just like wah, 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 wah. One side will be a little almost muffled, and the other side might be really intense. Or the difficulty filtering out what is the most important information. So I'm frequently maybe struggling identifying what is the most important information to then take action on, and maybe I'm missing things that people have called out, or I'm listening to a conversation but I'm overhearing this louder conversation in the corner and it's totally caught my attention and I'm having squirrel brain moments. So when we think about senses, specifically auditory is a really powerful sense for safety and protection. And so every time our system is maybe misinterpreting loud noises as danger, our system can flip very quickly into that fight, flight, or freeze mode. And so these are the things where we kind of ponder, what can we do? Well, I think awareness is step number one always. And as we kind of move forward with brainstorming some of these tools, I hope you might leave with a few ideas, maybe a few things that you can kind of practice and continue to review to help in those moments that just feel overwhelming and too much. All right, so there's a lot of really interesting things that we can brainstorm from the actual blocking of or dampening of auditory input. I've used all three of these tools in a variety of different settings, and so I'll just kind of go through what maybe the benefits are for each one. So when we think about over the ear, this is definitely a great one for focus. So this is a time where maybe we don't need to be receiving a lot of the outdoor information, such as like there's a lot of city noise, or when you're really needing some focus time, and things around you are just a little bit too much. These are more of that kind of like noise canceling almost. They sometimes say noise reducing, but frequently they are noise canceling over the ear headphones. A lot of them connect to a Bluetooth, and so you're able to listen to even like the Safe and Sound protocol, which I'll review in a few moments. These are really powerful tools to just kind of listen to calming music. So this is a really powerful one of just like, we're going to block and eliminate. And it really helps with brain focus. So I use mine, I'll put them on, I'll do some dancing, but I'll also use them for really focused study time when I need to put on a timer and really get through a lot of work and not have anything around me be distracting from my focus or distracting from the things that I need to work on. The loop earplugs, the ones here in the center, these are specifically the ones called Engage. So these are kind of a nice intermediary. So these are ones very specifically on the loop setting, the loop website. They talk about that these are great for social gatherings, parenting, and noise sensitivities. So times where we might be blocking, but we don't necessarily want to block too much. So we need to still have the ability to engage with social engagement. We're just kind of dampering things a little bit more. We're able to maybe go into those, and they have specifically social gatherings, but I think they also have a version that is specific for like concerts. So ones where you can, if that's an overwhelming place for you, but you're like, gosh, I really love music and I really love the environment of a concert, sometimes that can be a really powerful activity to kind of go ahead and go through well, I've got these. They are so cool because they come on a keychain, they come in a case. I keep them on my keys. I used them yesterday. Like they're real quick go to. Anytime I'm in a loud environment, I'll plug these in. Helps you process the things that you need to process and just kind of dampers everything out, but you can still hear people's requests. I feel like it is just a nice intermediary helping with just kind of quietening things down. I love binaural beats and Hertz music. And so this is one just to kind of keep in mind. YouTube has a lot of these. I listen to a lot on Spotify and have a specific Spotify playlist that I have just for Hertz music. So we're thinking about these very therapeutic sound frequencies that really promote this calm sensation in our body. So specifically 432, it's a very powerful hertz level. And so those are ones that sometimes I just need to go pause and listen for, 5 to 8 minutes and just have kind of a reset. I also really try to use some of these if I have the capacity to go out in nature and just kind of and relax and just have this playing and just kind of listen to this healing vibration can be a helpful reset tool. You might find some you're gravitating more to, and that just might be your body really enjoying certain of the binaural beats or certain specific hertz that your body is needing. Think about how we can use a nature sound machines. That might be one that has like waterfall or birds chirping or rustling of the trees or waves crashing. I remember using one of those when I was a young child through probably mid adult, probably honestly, of using the power of nature sounds to help with this relaxation feeling and really reducing this sense of overwhelm in my system really was very powerful for nervous system regulation. If you have a capacity to have your window open, just having a mindful moment in nature as well can be very deeply powerful to help have some really lovely, lovely, lovely energy where we can think about the different sounds that are outside. A lot of times in that morning, right at sunrise, if that is something for you as you're waking up, it can be really lovely to go out and just kind of listen to the birds because they're always announcing that things are happening. And then sound baths. So when we think about either like a Tibetan singing bowl or the big, huge crystal sound healing bowls, things like rain sticks or water features, there's many different ways where we can kind of tap into these, either on YouTube, on Spotify, or even in-person opportunities. And so in my local area, I had the beautiful opportunity to go to a sound bath experience. And I think that was about like an hour. And there's just you put your head, near the sound healer, and they play sound healing bowls. There's things that are like these beautiful chimes, and there's just such a wave of differing sounds. And even when my system gets heightened, those sorts of sounds almost always are very, very soothing. Even though they might start to get a little bit louder, because these are so powerfully tuned to hertz that are very healing levels of music tones, we can experience some really profound and deep relaxation. So these are just maybe some things to consider. A lot of cities, a lot of towns, a lot of yoga studios frequently have opportunities for sound baths. And so you're really just kind of getting bathed in sound, and Hertz music is just surrounding your whole body, and it just is. It can be a very cool sensory experience that I've experienced of just feeling like my arms and my legs were almost like buzzing and tingly, and there's just a lot of healing that can happen through sound baths. And then just creating your own. So if there are certain times where we can think about, gosh, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm feeling overstimulated. Is there a song that you always go to? Is there a playlist that you always click that helps to reduce your stress, to help just kind of maybe literally shake it out, and just kind of thinking about the power of those preferred sounds, right? Those are your preferred lists of music, your preferred tones. Maybe you know and you sing along to the lyrics because you've known the song all your life. And so I just invite you to kind of have a little bit of curiosity and maybe play around with the idea of making maybe a special playlist, like my holistic ear tool, or like my auditory tool list or something like that, of just kind of finding some of those that you're really resonating with, finding some of those songs that really put you in that lovely mood, because those are usually going to be sounds that your system recognizes as friendly versus noxious. And so when I use the term noxious stimuli, we think about auditory overwhelm. And if we're experiencing auditory overwhelm, things in our environment can be and feel noxious. So they can feel to our system that they are no good, they are a threat, and our system may go into more of a panic moment. When we're in those heightened states, our system is trying to protect us. And auditory is a huge protector sense because way back when there were saber-toothed tigers, we needed to be on high alert for danger. And so a lot of times I recognize and reflect within myself, and I recognize and reflect in clients that I work with who experience these moments of auditory overwhelm. There's big factors of confusion. Is this truly a dangerous noise? And the system misinterprets it, and we might have heart racing. Everything gets amplified, so everything just gets louder in those moments of dysregulation. And it can be very hard to filter once we've gotten up to that level. And so some of these tools that we're talking about is how do we bring it back down, but also how do we just cultivate the engagement with sounds that are really, really healing and our body knows are safe sounds, to then kind of help increase your cup size with sounds. And so auditory overwhelm can also be that little cup visual. So we've, maybe not slept great. We maybe had a really hard morning, and then just that one thing, and then that one thing, and then that one thing, and that fourth thing just overflows. And our system gets dysregulated. What maybe isn't overwhelming other days is like, oh my gosh, this feels like nails on a chalkboard. What is going on? I'm usually okay handling the sound, but it can be this quick to overflow moment just because our nervous system is a little bit more primed to be dysregulated. We haven't had those really powerful things that help us stay regulated, like sleep and food and not being overwhelmed and stressed. So just a few things to kind of keep in mind. There's also a lot of power in dance and somatic release and shaking and releasing and getting any of this overwhelm kind of out of your system. There are some really powerful energy releases that can come from EFT tapping, which I think is just such a cool tool for releasing moments when we're overwhelmed. We kind of talked about, when our system gets activated with loud noises as like a nervous system protection. EFT tapping is so deeply powerful to help us shift into that calm state. So it's telling those loud noises, no, this isn't danger. This is, not a threat. We are okay. And using something like tapping helps to kind of energetically release those feelings of panic when those loud noises can be misinterpreted in our life. And we also think about kind of the big cup, little cup situation. I think the more I practice these sorts of tools, the more I am able to increase my threshold. I'm able to grow my cup just a little bit and be able to handle more throughout the day and be able to filter appropriately because my system's more calm. I'm able to ground and center and release some of the stuff that I just don't need. And then the kind of some of the symptoms, right? Some of the things that we might experience is an actual energetic release. So we might yawn a lot. We might have moments where we yawn so much that tears come out of our eyes. Those are probably two of the most common signs of a literal energetic release of things that have been stuck in our body. So we think about kind of a river flowing through, and we've got boulders and logs and things that kind of slow down the flow of the energy. EFT tapping allows for us to kind of move everything out of the way and really help to open up the channel, move into that beautiful state of calm and vagal toned, right? We're so engaged socially, we're able to be calm, we're able to interpret all this information from our world in an appropriate and clear way versus misinterpreting loud noises as a threat to our system and our safety. So I hope that was a helpful EFT practicing opportunity. You guys can kind of always go back and watch this. And then again, the script handout where you can actually view and review will be available. All right. So we had the cool opportunity to practice some EFT tapping. And now we're going to go ahead and dive into the thing that I'm just so excited. So excited. So, what is the Safe and Sound Protocol? I've alluded to it a little bit that there are moments where we are having, we got some lovely shares. Thank you. I know I feel the buzzing energy in my body from tapping as well. um, I am so excited to state that I am officially trained. I took a big, it was like a long neuroscience training course and then a long test, and I passed it, and I'm like, woo, yeah, woo. So I am celebrating being back in school again to because I believe in it. Right, this is something that I have been able to utilize in my moments of trauma recovery, and it has been so deeply profound because my system was quite haywire. My brain was flipping very quickly into fight, flight, or freeze, sympathetic nervous system activation. And so this really powerful listening program has Hertz music in certain tones, but it is all based on polyvagal theory. And so Dr. Stephen Porges, the creator of the polyvagal theory, he created this amazing therapeutic listening program. And so there is so much neuroscience, there is so much research, there is so many testimonials, case studies, and I myself am one recognizing that this has been a deeply profound tool in my toolbox of recovery and being able to recognize that no, that loud sudden noise is not something volatile in my life. It is just someone outside. I don't need to have a moment of full system alertness just because of a loud noise. So this can support children all the way to adults with vagal toning. So our vagal nerve is our beautiful 10th cranial nerve, runs through our body. It is the powerhouse nerve with our rest and digest system, which is our parasympathetic. So when we think about this regulatory piece, we want to activate this part of the nerve. We want to activate the ventral side, which is our belly side of the nerve, so we can move into a state of social engagement and calm and ease and ability to be regulated and be interpreting social cues and things in our world in an appropriate way without that misinterpretation of loud noise equals danger. Some other things it can help with, it was previously very super focused on auditory sensitivities and helping with auditory sensitivities when things are just too loud, too sudden, and frequently that high pitched or that longer tone really targets this. And it helps with auditory processing. So we kind of talked about how when our system is a little bit more elevated, how do we filter? How do we process? This helps us understand, oh, no, this is the most important thing I need to follow right now. So we're not getting as distracted. We're not getting as dysregulated when multiple conversations are happening. It helps us really focus in. And then the overarching big, huge supporter is nervous system regulation. And so what Unite, which creates the kind of umbrella of the Safe and Sound protocol, they really think about supporting the nervous systems to become more aware, regulated, and resilient, right? Resilience is that key factor. So we're aware that we're processing, we are working on regulating our nervous system, and we are resilient so we can more effectively respond to challenges. So we're building the cup. We're growing the cup size. We're being able to tolerate and engage with more things in our life. So when we think about a group support system, we're thinking about the sensory self-care membership. We might have jumpy or overwhelmed with loud noises. We might kind of avoid different textures, have more of those sensory sensitivities. Might having some decreased feedback to heart rate, breath rate, that kind of interoceptive awareness. Maybe difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep at night because their system is getting charged. And then having any like really big emotional reactions and just wanting to have a little bit more control, kind of learn this kind of sensory education piece. Or frequently getting maybe distracted or procrastinating because we're having those moments where we're just shifting into a different mental state. So some members are saying that these are really lovely tools and doing it in the community is really helpful and very supportive. So recruiting these tools and knowing that others are using these tools as well, and that these group calls are that really great reminder to actually have those practice moments. So we have 1 hour calls monthly where I go through, we'll practice EFG tapping, we practice breath work, we practice all of these activities, and then there's always some sort of training. So becoming more aware of our senses. Thank you, interoceptive awareness, for the win. And in those moments where we can't tell what's going on, is it brain, is it body, is it mind, just tap. When in doubt, tap it out, release, release, release. So this is an offering for those that might be interested in joining my monthly group membership program called the Sensory Self-Care Membership. And this is going to go through breath work and somatic release. Like I mentioned, we do monthly calls. I usually have updated videos getting added to the resource library. And then the sensory education piece is huge. So I will always have some sort of presentation where we have the opportunity to kind of dive in. So we've been going into polyvagal theory. We've been talking about sensory profiles and then conflict resolution. If we have sensory profiles that might be slightly different in people that we work with or live with, and just how we can kind of work through some of those. We've got a seeking over with auditory input, but then we have the auditory overwhelm, and how sometimes those systems can kind of clash, and kind of brainstorming and having really fun community conversations. So this has been a really deeply passionate group. I just love sharing. I love the conversation, and I'm so, so grateful. And a big, huge thank you. This has been so much fun. Thank you for joining me on this sensory adventure through Sensory Empower, the podcast. Remember, empowerment begins with awakening your senses. Subscribe now and embark on a journey of self-discovery and transformation. Until next time, may your senses guide you towards a life filled with peace, joy, and empowerment. Because true empowerment begins with embracing your senses.